Hi guys, welcome to the Saving Money Show. Me, your host Sean. I don't care if this is going to interact with my other video. This is something I need to get out of there. Basically, Wall Street Bets has been shut down temporarily first. Reddit has moved Wall Street Bets to private mode, which means only the moderators have access to it. The reason for this is because Discord has shut down Wall Street Bets due to hate speech and the likes. I mean, the thing is, if you wouldn't go on Wall Street Bets unless you have a thick skin, unless you're an adult, there's a lot of, for me, it seems a cop-out. It's not the government stepping in, it's not anyone else, but for me, it seems like they're worried the SEC or the government is going to come in and start telling them, you've got to do this. And they either have to say yes, they either say yes, or they stand up to the government and risk having government take their license away, or stepping in, or make notification. If they instantly say yes and kick them off because the government has come in, they may lose lots of users who go to other platforms. I mean, look what's happened with WhatsApp and Signal. People wouldn't have put up with WhatsApp in the early days with the server going down. There was plenty of other options. So some of them people were on before WhatsApp, and they've gone to the wayside now. You have now with Signal, they're willing to, because of everything Facebook's doing. There are other platforms out there, and Discord's afraid of, and people are more picky than they were before. They are worried that they're suddenly gaining traction and that people will move from Discord because this has such a following on both sides, for and against. Now, I say the ones who are holding GameStop are like heroes, fighting the short sellers. Short sellers didn't care when they were bankrupting a company, when retail investors were going bankrupt because the company was being shorted. They didn't care when they didn't care when employees were let go because company was being shorted, so they couldn't get loans and grow. Companies that are turnaround plays like Nokia and BlackBerry that could make something of themselves. Company like AMC that has just got a lifeline that they're trying to stomp into the ground. I will show you a video from Cramer where one of the short sellers tries to use the argument, well, Bed Bath and Beyond comes up on our system. Well, he should be making the argument, why does it come up on your system? You know, it's since the crash it has turned around. Now, rather than the SEC actually coming down on these guys, they should be coming down on the short sellers, but they're not, because they would rather have retail investors be stamped on, stocks halted, brokerages closed, then a hedge fund pull out and admit they were of a short position and admit they was wrong and have a bad quarter which they can recover from. But it's so corrupt. Anyway.
Your gang is so right about so much of this. I've never seen it before. And what Wall Street Bets, which is really driving this, what they've done, that's a site on Reddit. What they've done is target large short positions. Now, they have not targeted small short positions. GameStop was 148% short. They went after Best Buy this morning because that's 67% short. They're obviously, by the way, BlackBerry's not. They just happen to be a big favorite. Palantir, we don't know where they're doing. But I actually think, Herb, that they're smarter than we think. They're after the ones that are too shorted. No, short selling is not dead, but they're very smart about what to target.
Wait a minute. What you just said, target. So here's my question. How is it that they can target, and that's legal, and if there was, in the old days, a bear raid, that was illegal? When does this become manipulation, Jim?
It's such a tough question because, remember, what's manipulation? How about if an analyst came out right now and said, I think GameStop is going to 250? Will we give that person a pass? Yes, because of the First Amendment. No, listen to me. It's First Amendment protection versus the idea of a group getting together to bust the shorts. But if the group is not a real group, it's just a lot of people who love it, it's going to be very hard for the U.S. Attorney to do anything, Herb. What is it, the SEC? They're not. What kind of case do they have? We like the stock. We like the stock. I mean, that's the kid where Ryan Cohen got in. He bought 15% at $8. He's on the board. We like the stock. How is that bad? Or do you think that they're concentrated and doing some sort of manipulation if they say they like the stock?
Well, I don't know if they're concentrated because I don't have subpoena power and I can't really go out and look at it. I could argue I don't even know if there are foreign powers at work here behind the scenes trying to make chaos of our markets.
Let me ask you this, Jim, because I think Mike Santoli. Look, there's a good number of people sitting at home who are like, I'm not investing in these kinds of stocks. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. I'm really not interested in it. But, Jim, Mike brings up what really is the cogent point for the broad audience. This is a sideshow. Does it at some point disturb the main event?
I think that more people are worried that it's going to disturb the main event than it is. It is a sideshow. What happened in GameStop? Okay, so the big trade was to be long the 40 calls and to be short the 60 calls. So they forced you to cover the 60 calls. They being the market makers had to cover. They started covering around 4 o'clock. So you did not, if you own the 40 and you're short the 60, you got caught here because you were not able to sell the 40 at the same price that you got closed out in the 60. So you see that there were closing out and closing out and closing out. And Pete, you know this. And then once it was done, boom. I mean, anyone who was long it from the 40 calls doesn't have the capital. So that's why it came under pressure.
It just shows you, too, okay, we came into the show today, Jim, saying, okay, we're going to lead with technology. NASDAQ's ripping today. We're leading into a bunch of really critical earnings. And then we see what's happening with GameStop and the rest of the market story. And we're like, what in the world? So you make this great pivot. It sucks a lot of the air out of the room. At the end of the day, though, Jim, this week and this month and maybe the next one is going to be driven by the numbers, I hope, the fundamentals.
And it's tomorrow.
Fundamentals
it's tomorrow. What's Johnson & Johnson going to say? What happens if Johnson & Johnson says, okay, we had a great quarter. Stay tuned because you may only have to take one shot. I mean, where does that stock go? Look at Eli Lilly. Look at what happened to Eli Lilly on a couple of good news announcements.
What happens with these earnings?
Say you again?
Companies come out. What happens with these companies, Jim, if people come out, and we know it's when the company stands up and the company says it's not quite what you expected it to be at these levels. And what I think is very interesting as I watch it, as these stocks go higher and higher and higher, executives are human beings. They have feelings. They get caught up in it too.
You're already making statements that you can't prove.
Now they have to justify. I'm trying to think through it. Now they're trying to justify.
For so long, I like to do this with you. You know that. Go ahead.
Now I love it, Jim. I love being with you. So
really?
Now they have to justify. Now they have to justify the stock somehow. And that's where I believe you get into this issue of aggressive accounting, which people don't pay attention to any of that anymore. They haven't for a long time. People start getting more aggressive. They get hooked on the drug of aggressiveness. And that's why Jim Chanos is out there talking about the golden era of fraud.
I was literally
This is going to be
a
very interesting period going forward.
I was literally
Very, very
thinking
interesting.
of Chano Singh, the golden age of fraud, when he was with us.
The golden age of fraud?
The other day.
Wait. Okay, so tell me, was the fraud Wall Street Bets decided to go after Bed Bath because some idiots are short it when the
Has
whole
nothing
company
to do
has
with Wall
changed?
Street Bets.
67% short and the whole company's better than it used to be? What is the case to be short Bed Bath and Beyond? Anyone have it? Anyone have it?
Maybe. Well, actually, it did show up on our model for breaking retailers that we put out a while back. But that said, didn't take into account the new CEO, didn't take into account things. But that was, by the way, that was a long time ago. So again, he has to justify what he's doing at Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. It's not a company we write about. But, I will say that in the end, what will the managements do? What will they have to do to justify these stock prices? And these proxy statements that are going to come out later this year, it's going to be interesting to take a look at bonus structure changes and things like that to see how much of it is tied to the stock. If there's any tweaks that are going to indicate, that are going to suggest that management has to get more aggressive or wants to get more aggressive.
Well, if interest rates go up, I think a lot of this game goes away.